Great. Hello, welcome again to Unashamed Mental Health Podcast, Mind Your Mind. We mind our minds because our mind really matters, and this podcast is to raise awareness of the impact of mental health on people's life. And today I've got an amazing guest in my studio, and I want to welcome Shama to the studio. Shama, would you introduce yourself, please, to our audience?
Hi, Gifty. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. My name is Kshama Singhi. I'm a Jay Shetty certified empowerment coach. I work a lot with women, but also with men who are having relationship issues, who are having challenges in their relationship. I help them and empower them to move through their life and through their relationship with confidence and clarity.
Great, amazing. So, Shama, today we are going to talk about the Superwoman Syndrome. And it's quite intriguing to hear the Superwoman Syndrome. I think sometimes we all want to be Superwoman. Why the name Superwoman? What is the story behind the Superwoman Syndrome? And can you tell me a bit about that?
Sure. So first of all, just a disclaimer: the Superwoman Syndrome is not a clinical term. It's just something that I'm sure if you Google it, there are other people who are calling it as well. But it's not a clinical term. This is not a diagnosis of any sort. It is just a term that I've given, and I say I have started with myself because my experience in life comes from this term. Is like, at some point I was trying to be the superwoman. And
Yeah.
and a lot because of women, we've put ourselves and we put this unrealistic expectations on ourselves and on other women to be able to do everything in life, to be able to have a good career, to manage house, to be a good mother, to be a good partner and everything. And in the process, we forget that we are human beings and we have limitations. So we are trying to excel more and more and more in every field, in every area of our life. And in the process, we are getting burnt out.
That's right. Thank you very much. You must have come to a place where you decided. So, can you tell me a bit about your story and what really inspired you to come into this coaching and also looking at the Superwoman Syndrome? What was the story behind that? Can you give us a bit of a backdrop?
Sure. So I'm originally from India, if you haven't guessed it from my accent already. I got married and I came to UK. So my ex-husband is also Indian, but he was in UK before we met each other. And since then, I think I was married for nearly a decade. And I have a 13-year-old, a beautiful 13-year-old daughter. But when I was married, what I realized was I was giving and giving and giving. Because I was in UK, there was no scope for not working. Plus, it's also something which I wanted to do for myself. So I had a good career. Plus, I was looking after the household. So in spite of being in a marriage, I was almost single-handedly looking after the household, looking after my daughter, doing everything, and still trying to be a good wife to my ex-husband. And this is where I think at that point I didn't know, but this is where I was going wrong, because by the end of the decade, I was so burnt out. I was so resentful because I was giving and giving and giving, and I was not getting anything in return. I was expecting my husband or my daughter to give me something in return, which was not going to happen. I was not looking after myself. And I think that was the core problem why my marriage failed.
But obviously, it had a toll on your mental health. So, are you trying to say that there's impact when you're giving and giving and giving and not getting anything back, when you neglect yourself? What was the impact on mental health, and how would you advise other women who are in that role of superwoman to just take some time and I always say that it's okay not to be okay. And I encourage women to be able to be effective women, either as mothers, either as wives, as career women, or whatever you find yourself. But it's also important not to put yourself on the altar of life so that you're sacrificing yourself and your well-being. So what was the toll on your mental health, and how would you advise other women not to do the same?
So obviously, I have a long list of things that went wrong, but the worst was I was not a good mother to my daughter. It would take my daughter it would just take her to drop a glass of water and I would start screaming. That's
Okay.
because I already had piled up so much on myself that when she dropped a glass of water, the first thought that came to me was, oh my God, now I have to clean this.
Mhm.
Simple thing like that was making me, triggering me, and making me this annoying, low tolerance mom. A 5-year-old does that. That is what children are supposed to do. But
That's right.
that was, I think, the biggest. But at the same time, I think the other thing that was happening was resentment was building up. And as in my inner child, my inner self was feeling neglected. So I was always unhappy. I was always stressed. I was always in the mode of do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I still do that sometimes, but it's much better. I never took time to relax. I never took time to put my feet up. And for any human being to be able to do that continuously to yourself, I mean, would you want to do this to your loved ones? Would you say this? Would you want to do this for your daughter or for your mom or your sister or somebody you love dearly? You would say, no, just chill, just relax, right? But somehow I had forgotten to say that to myself. And nobody
That's
else was
right.
telling me that because I was expecting that my husband or my daughter are going to do that for me. They are going to look after me. They are going to give me. But the truth is, if I don't give myself, they didn't think they needed to give me either. They just thought,
That's
I'm
right.
okay. I'm a superwoman. I can handle it all.
That's great. Thank you very much. And this is so real. I remember talking to somebody today, and then she was saying, "Oh, but I want to keep going. I want to keep sacrificing. I want." And I'm like, I said to her, "But who is looking after you? You know, at the end of the day, it's not all about you giving and giving and giving. It's not all about you doing and doing and doing. And when things go wrong, you're the one taking all the blame and nobody else is owning that mistake. So, like you said, children are meant to make mistakes. The glass falls, somebody has to clean it. But it can wait. I always say to myself, you know what? There's nobody coming for an Ofsted inspection or a CQC inspection in my house. So if my house it's not in a good place and I need to rest to look after myself, or if I have to take time away and to go and do a bit of exercise in the gym, then I should give myself permission to do that. But I think as women, we don't give ourselves that permission to rest. And we feel guilty and we feel like we have to be doing. And I
Mm.
think that's where our mental health go down the spiral. So we need to encourage other women. So if you're a listener on this podcast, we don't want you to just think that you have to be a superwoman. You know, take a break, look after yourself. So Sharma, can you tell me what are some of the tips that has helped you? What can we do to release the pressure and break that myth and learn of the imperfect ways, learn to be imperfect and get the help? Because everybody can make mistakes and we don't have to be perfect moms, perfect wives and stuff like that. And sometimes there's beauty in some imperfection. It makes you human, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think, Gifty, you've just said the first and the most important thing, perfection is the lowest standard of achievement. So stop trying to be perfect for everybody out there. But I also want to say, I am still doing everything. I still have a very good career. I think I am a much better mom. I don't know if my daughter will testify to that, but I know I'm a much better mom. And I'm also having a business and I'm doing everything and I'm still having a more relaxed life. So what I'm trying to say is, it's not that you can't have it all. So I'm not asking anybody to choose between career and job or like, being a parent or being a partner and all that stuff. No, you don't have to choose. The only thing you have to do is be more kind to yourself and learn to have boundaries. So to your point, don't try to be perfect. You don't want to be perfect. You don't want to set that standard for your children, whether be it a daughter or a son. Stop trying to set that standard for other people. And the more imperfect you are, the more it's almost like giving other women the permission to be imperfect. So own your authenticity, just be empowered in your own authentic self. You're imperfect. For example, I do a lot of things, but I feel like cooking is not my thing. I don't feel like some people find cooking therapeutic. I don't. And
Oh,
cooking,
do I do?
yeah, exactly. And some people find cleaning therapeutic. Again, I don't, but a superwoman and some of us, we take pride in keeping our house clean and doing all the homemade cooking, starting from scratch and everything. My authentic self does not believe in that. And I have now embraced it. I was like, I still cook a lot, but very basic meals. And I still clean. My house is still clean, but I have a cleaner to do that for me. You know? So what I'm trying to say is everybody has different requirements. They have different values. They're good at different skills. Know yourself, choose the one which is important to you and focus on that and find solution for the other things. Everything can be done, but you don't have to be the one doing everything.
That's right. And I perfectly agree with you. You need to leverage on other people to support you for the things that you can do. Because, like outsourcing cleaning, sometimes you can get somebody to clean for you. Sometimes you can do a bit of outsourcing for somebody to do a bit of administrative tasks for you. And it's okay to be vulnerable and to say that. And I think we saying that we shouldn't try to be perfect. It's not to say that we shouldn't strive to be excellent. We want women to be excellent, achieve, and do things well. But we shouldn't think of that in the strive for excellence and perfection. We neglect ourselves and our emotional well being and our mental well being and our physical well being. We need to be authentic and we need to be attuned to ourselves and look after ourselves. I guess that because somebody might think, oh, why are they saying that we should learn to be imperfect? Are we not striving? So we are women who are in career, women who are supporting other people in the coaching industry as well. But we don't want to say that you can't strive for excellence. Like you said, you're still a mother, you're still doing your business and your work life. But this time you're giving yourself a bit of permission to just chill and to just look after self and to look after yourself so that your well-being is not compromised.
Yeah.
Am I right to say that?
Yeah, and I think gifted to your point, yes, you do want to keep achieving more. You do want to keep excelling because if you become stagnant, then it becomes boring to a certain extent. So you want, as a person, as a human being, you want to keep growing, whether be it in your career, whether be it in your spiritual life, your personal development, whatever it is, you want to keep growing, even your fitness, even your mental health, everything. So, but then the reason I say don't aim to be perfect is because perfect is normally, and this is my experience, perfection is normally somebody else's definition in my mind, you know?
That's right.
So in my mind, it was, and I was looking at my mom saying that she always keeps her house very clean, and she always cooks from scratch and she cooks 2 meals, freshly cooked meals. So in my mind, perfect was that.
Mm-hmm.
But that perfections, and this is where I say authenticity is important because, for me, in the current situation, given where I am, given what resources I have, that is not being perfect for me. So normally what happens is when we are saying we want to be perfect, we are striving towards somebody else's definition. And
That's
to
right.
your point, Gifty, we need to change the definition. So whatever perfect means for you, not for somebody else, but whatever
That's
it
right.
means for you, and how can you improve from the version you were yesterday to what you can be tomorrow. So it is something that you keep improving, but I would still, in my mind, I would still avoid the word perfect because
That's right.
it's somebody else's definition. It's probably the world's definition or society's definition.
No, that's great. Thank you very much. And if you're listening to us, I've got Shama on the podcast, Unashamed Mental Health Podcast, Mind Your Mind. Shama, is there anything you would like to say to conclude today? Is there anything that you highlight or tips that you give women out there to make sure that they're looking at practical steps? Is there anything else you would like to add?
Yes, just one last thing, Gifty, that I would like to add is boundaries. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say
Mm-hmm.
no, I can't do it. It's okay to say I can't take this on. It's okay to
Yeah,
say sorry to my daughter, to your children. It's okay to say sorry. And it's okay to be seen as not being able to do everything. So yeah, that's what I want to leave people with is please feel free to say no. It is okay.
it's very okay, and I believe in that. Recently, I was talking to a group of women. I was telling them we don't have to meet everybody's needs. We don't have to tick everybody's box. We need to learn to know what is good for us, what we can do within our capacity, within our capability, and we need to learn to say no. So if we do all of this well together, then we can be looking after our mental health, and we wouldn't burn out, and we wouldn't have unnecessary mental health problems. So thank you very much, Shama. It's been a great time hosting you on Unashamed Mental Health Podcast. And if you're listening to me today, I'll come your way very soon with another episode. But for now, we are signing off. And I just want to say thank you to Shama again for giving us this talk on Superwoman Syndrome. And let's learn not to be superwoman. Let's learn to look after ourselves. Take care and have a great day.
Thank you, Gifty. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
That's great. I'll have you again next time. So.
Thank you.